Thanksgiving and the holidays are just around the corner. These are traditionally enjoyable times with family and friends. However, for those with hearing problems, large gatherings can cause frustration and feelings of isolation. Here to share tips on how to hear more during the holidays and other options for improved hearing is audiologist Carol Whitcomb Powell, PhD, with Hearing Associates, a HEARINGLife Company. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And you're absolutely right. The holidays can be a time of frustration and even depression for the hearing impaired.
So how can people with hearing problems better participate in the holiday gathering, I guess? What are some tips?
I'm excited to share a lot of this because people have their hearing aids or they're hearing impaired without hearing aids, and the holidays can be tough. I think the very first thing, Jeff, is the person needs to take some time to plan ahead. For example, let's take worship, because the holidays is a time of worship for many people, worship and celebration. You need to take some time to arrive early. Plan so you'll get there early and have yourself seated in an area where you can actually see. The hearing impaired person, with or without hearing aids, needs to be able to see as well as hear. So plan ahead so you can get to your place of worship in a timely manner to get a good seat. Also, in our community, most of our places of worship have devices for the hearing impaired. You may not even know about it if you haven't ever had to ask. Ask. Get early enough so that you can get one of those devices. You wear it around your neck. It will work with, and some work without, hearing aids. And that way it is wired into the microphone of the person speaking or the choir singing, and the hearing impaired person can enjoy the service much better.
It's great advice. Well, what about in the home environment? Say it's Thanksgiving, large table, lots of family and friends, lots of dishes clattering, lots of maybe children running around. What can be done in the home environment by the person who's hearing impaired, but also what should the family understand as far as preparing the environment?
Absolutely. I like to encourage the hearing impaired person, again, to take control and plan ahead. In the kitchen, everyone's cooking, they're talking, they're having a great time. It's a very tough situation for a person that's hearing impaired. I'd like to encourage that person to have some time set aside where the television is turned off, they're out of the kitchen, and they can sit with one-on-one or a small group of the grandchildren or their own kids in some quiet time back in the living room where they can actually talk and hear and enjoy those holidays also. In terms of seating arrangements at the dinner table, you're at Thanksgiving, you're at a large table. Perhaps you've been used to being head of the family, so you're used to being at the end. That's probably not the best place for you to sit if you're hearing impaired because of the distance between you and the person at the table, or not being able to see the faces of the person on the side. Sit yourself in the middle of the table so you have people on either side and the distance is more equal. You'll hear better.
Say someone is going to the house of a relative and they're not in control of the environment. What kind of conversation and should they have, and when should they have that conversation?
Going to a person's house for a party or gathering, similar to going to a cocktail party or an office party, those type of situations, the hearing impaired person, if they have hearing aids with directional microphones, which many of our aids do now, that person does the best when their back is to the noise. So if there's music playing or a small band, if that person will situate themselves where their back is to the music or to most of the crowd, and so that the people they want to speak to are directly in front of them, they'll hear much better.
That's great advice. Great tips. Well, what if somebody really does decide that they need to seek some professional help? Let's talk about that part of it as far as what they might expect. I know it's something that a lot of people just don't want to do. They have hang-ups for a variety of reasons probably. What is the process, and why is that so foreign to a lot of people? Why do they push back a little bit?
Well, somewhere along the line, I think hearing aids were synonymous with, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. But with all the noise influence we have, hearing aids are not just for old people. A lot of people are hearing impaired. And hearing aids are less conspicuous now. They're more, they're comfortable. They're doing a better job. Many of our colleagues and our friends wear hearing aids and we don't even realize it. The first step, to answer your question more directly, is a hearing examination. And if you're Medicare age with a referral from your physician, Medicare will cover a hearing examination, a diagnostic test. And once the hearing evaluation is done, then it's sitting down with your audiologist to determine what is the best treatment for this hearing loss.
So what is the exam itself? Are they listening to sounds? Are they listening to conversations? What is being tested, I guess?
Well, both. You are taken into a sound-treated room, a sound booth, and you're listening to tones. Think of a piano, and you're given certain tones like on the piano. And then it's tested at what's the very softest level you can hear those tones. Also, a series of words you're asked to repeat at certain levels to see, can you hear at normal conversational level? When it's raised above normal conversational level, is it pleasant? Do you have clear understanding? Do you have problems with intelligibility? Is your middle ear working correctly? All this is part of the assessment. But you don't have to be an expert. The audiologist will just run you through the test.
So it's very simple and
Very
painless.
easy. Painless,
and
easy
something
to do.
that's not
Easy
that
to
big
do.
a deal. They just need to go in and do. Well, you mentioned a lot about the size of hearing aids, and I know my grandfather wore one that was huge, and we used to take turns putting it on, slamming the refrigerator door and that type of thing. But I do have a friend now who wears one, and there's a very tiny tube that I didn't even see for a long while. I couldn't tell you how long. So tell us a little bit about how that technology has advanced to where it really is something that's not conspicuous. And I know they have colors, and I've seen some fashion hearing aids. Tell us a little bit about what all's out there.
Absolutely. You know that big Bluetooth that people wear on their phone? That shows so much greater than a hearing aid now. But what you're describing are what we call the open style of hearing aids. And they have just absolutely been a great answer for a lot of people's hearing needs. It is either a small tube or a wire, depending on the design and the treatment you need. And the hearing aid sits back here. They're light, they're airy, they're comfortable. You don't suffer. They're really a pleasant. The tone qualities are good. And they come in a variety of colors, designs, and prices. They come from a more entry-level price now up to the top-of-the-line pricing.
Well, great information. If right here before we go, if you had one more tip for people who are getting ready for the Thanksgiving holidays, just a couple of weeks away, maybe they don't have time to get that test first, what should they do?
I think the very first thing to do is you need to think about who's coming and where you're going to be going over the holidays, and make advanced planning. If you're going to go to the theater, buy tickets where you can see and hear. If you're going to have a group, set up a time to get together where it's quiet so you can talk and visit.
Great advice. Thank you very much, Dr. Powell.
My pleasure.
Thank you.